Hello and welcome to Business Advantage, where we focus on one business per episode that has the potential to give you the advantage. I'm public speaking coach Milo Shapiro. Have you ever inhaled something that just smells good and then you just feel better afterwards? It might be more than just a feeling. You might have done something that was actually healing for you. Well, what if we could do that on purpose with specific intentions? And what if that simple, pleasant process could keep you off medicine? Today, we're going to talk about essential oils and one person whose life was changed by them. Our guest has a master's in health psychology and has worked in research in UCSD, ASU, and USC Medical School. She is passionate about health and helping others live a vibrant life. Angela Lapin, welcome to Business Advantage, and thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So I know from our phone conversations that you had a background in research and health psychology. How did that lead you to showing people how to use essential oils for natural health care?
Well, I've always been interested in health, which is how I ended up in health psychology. And as I was doing it and just in my own life, getting more interested in natural health, learning as I read more and more medical research, which you do a lot of in health psychology, and learning, not only about the life-saving benefits of medication, which are great, and I'm grateful we have them when we need them, but also learning a lot more about the harmful side effects of them and drug interactions and how many deaths each year are caused by medications, and just how I really got interested in the psychology of it as well, of how people really gave over the power of their own health to their doctors. The whole healthcare industry as it's practiced now, people really just depend that it doesn't matter what they do with their life. The doctor will take care of them. They'll give them some drug for this. They'll tell them that.
Well, the doctor said so.
Yeah. And that just really did not resonate with me. I feel strongly there's so much we can do for our own health with our sleep and our exercise and our nutrition. And as it turns out, as I learned much later, essential oils as well. So it was just sort of a continuation of the journey that I started in my late teens.
And what appeals to you so much about the natural health solutions?
I think it really is sort of two parts are really big for me. One is the empowering part, that people really can feel responsible for their own health and become a healer in their own home for themselves and their families. That if you really understand the natural tools that are available to you, you have access to those and can make a big difference on your health. And then also avoiding all the problems that come with overuse of pharmaceuticals. It's estimated that like 80% of doctor visits, including emergency room visits, are things that could be handled at home.
Oh, wow. 80%. That's a really 80%. High number. You had said in a previous conversation that you felt that there was a gap between research and practice. Can you tell everyone more about that?
Yeah, so that was one of the big eye-openers and why I left my graduate school program with just a master's. I was in a program that was a doctoral program to get my PhD, and I was being trained to be a researcher and a professor. But what I learned in all the research that I did over the years was there is this huge gap. The standard just accepted gap between research and practice is like 20 years. So researchers will discover these things that work really
20
well.
20 years before we get the benefits?
Before it's put into practice. I mean, if you think about it, doctors, they go to medical school, they learn what's known then, and then they're busy practicing. I mean, as it is, they don't have enough time to see their patients. When are they supposed to keep up on all the research? And the researchers, what I really didn't like is they're interested in research for research's sake a lot of times, and they don't personally get involved in making sure that it gets put into practice. So there's just this huge gap. And then when I learned about essential oils, I learned it was the same there. I knew, despite, decades at that point of being interested in natural health and pursuing different things in that area, I had not done anything with essential oils. And when I started researching them, I found out that there was 20, 30 years of research on essential oils, but it wasn't out there in the mainstream. So I'm just really motivated to educate people and let people know that this is a really effective tool that has been well researched, that's available.
And when you discovered them, it made a difference. How did you discover them, and what were some of your earliest experiences?
Yeah, so it's funny. I always say, we only have so much bandwidth. So I've been interested in natural stuff for a long time, but it was more along the lines of nutrition and exercise and sleep and stress management and meditation, doing different things. And I had heard of essential oils, but I just hadn't had the bandwidth to take on anything else until we were having some specific issues in my family. One of my children was having some anxiety issues that we didn't even identify as anxiety at that point. It's just at like 7, 8 years old, constant breakdowns, like inability to handle any sort of transition, change in expectations, that kind of stuff. And it was really affecting the whole family. My husband was avoiding it, and an older sibling was saying, like, I love her, but keep her away from me. I don't like her right now. Like, it was
Wow.
really disruptive. And a good friend of mine had told me about essential oils she had been using for over a decade. I had known her using them all this time and had just never been interested, or again, hadn't had the attention span for it. But she said, you have to come learn. I think they'll really help. And 3 days into using them, it was a complete turnaround.
3 days after that kind of behavior difference.
Like that was an amazing change. Yeah. I mean, that isn't always what happens, but 3 days and it never went back. It was lifelong. And then similar experiences within that first month. I had been on allergy pills for years, 8 months out of the year. Haven't used an allergy pill since starting this. My husband for heartburn. My oldest kid had little warts on his hands and he was a teenager, so super self-conscious. We had gone to the doctor every few weeks for months to get them treated. They wouldn't go away. 2 weeks with essential oils, they were gone. Never came back.
Was that topical or was that inhaling?
That was topical.
Wow.
So literally.
So it gets the question about how do we use these essential oils?
Within 6 weeks of using them, we had like 4 things that were dramatic changes in our life.
Oh my gosh. So I hadn't even known about topical. I tend to think of essential oils as an inhaling thing. How do we use them and which ones do you recommend?
Yeah, so there's actually 3 ways you can use them. So aromatically would be like inhaling it, just putting it in your hands and breathing it in, or you can have a diffuser that disperses it into the air. Topically, you mix the essential oil with a carrier oil. It can be anything. I usually use fractionated coconut oil, but to apply it topically on your skin. And then you also can take them internally for some essential oils, not all essential oils.
I did know
can
that.
Be taken internally. And with that, you just add them to your water glass, or I do a lot in a shot glass of water. You can put them in a little vegetable capsule, or even there's some that I just drop directly under my tongue.
And this is one of the reasons, because you have to know which ones are safe and which ones aren't, that someone should be coming to you and not just picking up something at the market and saying glug, glug, glug.
Right. And in fact, I only work with doTERRA essential oils. And I always tell people, I don't say doTERRA essential oils are the only oils I would take internally or trust because I sell them and because I help people use them. I sell them because they're the only ones I trust. Again, I am a researcher by training. And when I learned about essential oils, I did the research. And it turns out that most essential oils on the market are adulterated. They are mixed with contaminants, often synthetic ingredients, or even just different plant material to make a little bit go a long way, right? to make more money for the broker usually. And so doTERRA came along and they cut out the broker, cut out the middleman. We work directly with our harvesters and farmers and distillers and pay a fair wage. And we test every single liter of oil to make sure that it is pure. We test it in-house and by an independent third party. So I would only ingest doTERRA essential oils. And even then, not all are. If you think about what you eat and what you don't, right? Peppermint, we can eat peppermint leaves. So peppermint essential oil is ingestible, but you don't eat the bark of the cedar tree, right? So the cedarwood oil is not ingestible. And that's true of most tree oils.
And I'm sure you're really clear with people as to how they should use them as you recommend one.
I am. And the bottle actually will have a supplement facts label on it if it is safe for ingestion.
You mentioned research in there. I did want to come back to that because I bet a lot of people think, well, I want to count on what my doctor says. I want something with the research. But what is the research on the effectiveness of essential oils?
So it's pretty amazing. If you go to pubmed.gov, which is a very large database of all the published medical research, and you search the term essential oils, you'll actually get over 20,000 results. But that represents a wide variety of research, including a lot where they just isolate an individual chemical constituent from an essential oil, because really a lot of that research is being done with the hope that they can make a synthetic version of that, which is always cheaper, doesn't usually work as well,
Right.
and isolate it and put it into some medication that they can patent, because you can't patent, natural existing things. So when you look at what's actually been done on whole essential oils, it comes down to probably half that or less than half. And only a few hundred of those have actually been done, what's called clinical research, like actually being done as the whole oil in humans as they interact in the real world. But the research to date is really promising. Essential oils have been shown to have anti-inflammatory effects, to aid in tissue repair, to have positive effects on anxiety, depression, to be effective in reducing pain, in reducing nausea. They also can kill a variety of microorganisms, things like fungus, bacteria, and viruses. They can help with insomnia. They can support cognitive health, even in those with Alzheimer's and dementia. And they even have anti-cancer effects. And I mean, you can look all that up in PubMed.gov.
Wow.
And then doTERRA is really active in furthering that research. So we conduct our own research, as well as work with a lot of universities in conducting research on essential oils, and trying to really add to that clinical research of, in the human population, but also working at the micro level of understanding the interactions of the oils at the cellular level, how they bind to receptor sites. So it's really amazing. What's going to come out in the next 10 years will way more than double what's already out there.
No idea there was that much research behind it. I thought it was going to be a little bit more, oh yeah, well, people say, and it's known, we have a sense of it. And there's probably a million more questions we could be covered, but I want to end on a big one, which is, how can people get in touch with you if they want to know more about essential oils or working with you?
Okay. Quickest way is they can actually call me. So I'm going to put my number out there, 619.
That still works?
606-1933, call or text. But you can also check out my website, plantmagic.com, but it's spelled PLANTMAGYK, plantmagic.com, or Angela at plantmagic.com.
Plant Magic. I'm going to respell that. Plant Magic, where the magic is MAGYK.
That's it.
All right. Angela, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure. If you'd like to be a guest on Business Advantage or see other episodes, visit businessadvantage.xyz. And if you'd like to learn more about improving your public speaking skills, visit the homepage for me, miloshapiro.com. Till next time, I am Milo Shapiro, wishing you good health, good times, and good business.